Okay, we're going to do the lesson for 3-1. So you should have already done the vocab for this. Different kinds of estimating, like front end and rounding and things like that. These are really just to help you. Later on, we're going to put numbers in order. And it's helpful if you round things to kind of figure out, well, you know, whether it's some subtle differences or things that are way different, that kind of thing. So help you make good decisions. How about that? All right, so the first problem we face right here, rounding decimals. So as a reminder, round to the nearest tenth. So if I have 4.2683, the nearest tenth, and as a reminder of what the spots are, they are, first one is tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, right? Then 100,000ths, then millionths, and so on and so forth. So nearest, round to the nearest tenth. So that's the second one. I look at it, so I go, okay, well, I have to see what's after it. So look at the hundredth spot if you're rounding for the tenth. And if that spot after it is 5 or more, you round up. Less than 5, you round down. Or you leave it alone, right? That's what I should say. So in this case, we look there. The tenths spot is 2. The hundredths and the one after is 6, which is 5 or more, like it says here. So you round that up to 4.3 and drop the rest of the numbers. Now if I say things like round to the nearest 1, right? Because this is ones, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, right? Well, take a look at 4. The number, that's the 1 space. Number after it is 2. 2 is less than 5, so you don't change, and it becomes just 4 when we're rounding. I know you learned this a while back. Just kind of a quick review of it. Go ahead and pause here. Head into Class Kick. I've got a few for you to do. Come back and check them. All right, so you should have already done these in Class Kick. So as a reminder, identify the underlined place, then round each number to that place. So here, this is the tens place, right? The tenths place. I'm sorry, tenths place, like it says here. And you would look after the tenths, which is a 1. So that means it's not 5 or more, so you leave it alone, so it's 38.4. This is the ones place. You look after it, 7. 7 is more than 5, so 5 or more. So you round up all the way to 1 in this case. Take a look here. The 5 is the tenths place. After the 5 is a 6. That's 5 or more, so that means I round my 5 up to 6. So down here you can see the answer. Here, the 3 is, so tenths, hundredths, thousandths place. After it's a 4, 4 is less than 5, so I leave it at 3. So 274.943. E, this is the tenths place, so look after it. It is a 2, definitely not 5 or more, so you just go ahead and leave it alone, so 5.0, or just 5 in this case. And F, this tenths hundredths place, right? And after it is a 1, that is not 5 or more, so you leave it at 5, so 9.85. Okay, again, just a quick review of those for you. Go ahead and continue. You have another example from me. Now we can also round to estimate. Estimate to find whether each answer is reasonable. This is one of my favorite reasons to do rounding and estimate. It's something reasonable. Does it make sense? Like when you're going through the grocery store and you're buying, let's say, 5 things that are 89 cents. Well, that means what you're going to buy is probably around $5, probably a little less, you know, and you throw in tax depending on what it is. So if the person rings it up and says it's $7.42, you know they're wrong. That's not a reasonable answer. Alrighty, so taking a look here. Let's see you added these numbers up, right? You want to make sure, did I do a good job? Well, let's estimate, right? 130. I like to pick easy numbers to estimate. 134 is about 140. 15 can be rounded clear up to 20 if you want to. 2405, I'd round to 25, but they rounded down to 20. Add that up, about 180, right? Well, that makes this way off by 100. That means you made a mistake somewhere. Take a look over here. 464 minus 125. And the person is saying, yeah, that's a 339.17. Well, again, is that reasonable? Does that make sense? Well, 464, you can round to 460. 125 to 130. That's about 330, and that's about what you got, about 330. So the answer, it's kind of close to the estimate, so it's probably reasonable. Again, you can use it to check whether or not something is reasonable. Does it make sense? So go ahead and head on to Class Kick. There's a couple of these for you to do. Alrighty. Now, obviously, I understand you might have rounded differently than me. That's not a big deal. I get that. So estimate by rounding. But you would say this first one is about 350, right? And this is about 200. So that's about 550, right? So you might say, they said about 560. I say about 550. That's pretty close. So if you were to add them, you would assume that'd be good. Now subtracting, I like to pick numbers that are easier to subtract from each other. So I might say about 450 minus about 230. And that's about 220. I can do that one in my head too. So again, you might be slightly different from yours. You might be slightly more, slightly less. But the idea is you're in this general ballpark for these. Go ahead and continue for another example from me. This is one of those topics I learned about when I started teaching math. I had never heard of front-end estimation before that, but I like it. Let me tell you about it. The costs of carrots, peppers, and broccoli are shown at the left. Estimate the total cost of the vegetables. Okay, so here's the idea. Front-end estimation. You add the front ends. 2, 1, 4, 2, 2, 1, 1, and you get 4. Estimate the back. 7, 7, 1, right? 70 cents, 70 cents, 10 cents, $1.50. Add that to the 4. 550 is your estimate here. Takes a little more work, but again, you don't do the actual adding, right? But total cost about 550. There's a picture of those vegetables if you're curious. So again, front-end estimation. Add the fronts, estimate the backs, put the two together. So again, pause, head on into class kick. I've got a couple for you. Here we are back with some front-end estimation. So again, you got to write them out, right? So you've got 6.75, 2.20, 9.58. So front-end estimation says add the front ends, right? 6 plus 2 is 8, plus 9 is 17. And the backs, you can round this to about 0.8, right? 0.2, 0.6. So that's about 1.6. Add those two together, we get that 18.6. And it's a front-end estimation. The second one here, 1.07, 2.49, 7.40. This one's money. Add the fronts, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then you take a look at the backs. Let's see, 0.07, that's about 0.1, about 0.5, and about, well, exactly 0.4, right? So that's 5, 6, 10, so 1.0. Add the two together, get 11. So 11 is a good estimate. Front-end estimation. Go ahead and continue for another example from me. All right, using clustering. Now, I don't know if you know what the word means, but clustering means things that kind of group around. Like if we were to cluster the ages of the kids in the classroom, right? You guys are probably all around 13. Okay? So estimate the total charge for the bills at the right. If you look at all these bills here, you notice they're all around $15. This one's a little more, right? This one's a little bit less, but all around $15. So I'd say $15 times 1, 2, 3, 4 bills is about $60. Clustering. You look, did they cluster around something? Go ahead and pause, head on to class kick, and work a couple. Come back to check them. All right, all of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You notice they cluster around 25. All right, so they all cluster around about 25. Well, 25 times, and there's what I say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them is 125. So that'd be clustering. Makes it a little easier to work with.